I don't know about you, but there have been times when I have asked God for some signs. I wanted something just so obvious that I couldn't miss it. Even in those times when I think I knew the answer, I still wanted to be sure. And I think of one time especially when I was living back in River Falls. And there was something before me, a decision to be made, and it was one of those yes or no's. And as I prayed about it and thought about it, I knew the answer was no, but I wanted it to be yes. And so I didn't listen. Instead, I said, God, I need a bigger sign. I need to show me what you want me to do, with the hopes that God would do what I wanted and have it be a yes. So I decided the best way to do that was to go to the church and light a votive candle. I had never done it before. I was probably in my 30s, and I had never lit a candle at Mass before. So I walked about a mile to the church from where I was living, of course, through a blizzard, uphill and all the way, uphill both ways. And I lit the candle and then walked back home. And then I went to daily Mass. I did it far enough ahead of time so nobody would see that I was lighting this candle. Well, wouldn't you know, about halfway through the Eucharistic prayer, there was this loud pop. And the candle that I had lit, the glass around it exploded, and wax went everywhere. And the priest, not knowing that I had lit this candle, said, well, I don't know whose prayer that was, but I think you got your answer. I think that was a pretty strong no, so I followed God's advice. During this Advent season, though, in our readings, we hear many times the signs that are before us, the signs that are coming, that tell us of the presence of Jesus Christ, that tell us of the presence of God. And we know that this season of Advent celebrates two different things. It celebrates the first coming of Christ, as well as the second coming, which is the final times, but it also celebrates that in-between, of how we are to be those signs of Christ coming as well. And so the focus of Advent is very much a social justice focus of what can we do to make our world a better place as we prepare for Christmas. The prophet Jeremiah does what all prophets do, which is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. And he says, there are some things going on right now that should not be going on. And the day is coming when the one will come and he will bring that true justice and peace into our world. And of course we know that that was Jesus Christ. And then Jesus in the gospel today says, there are going to be signs. You're going to look to the stars and the moon and the sun, which people were used to doing. Because, back then there weren't calendars or watches or the Weather Channel, and so people were really used to reading signs to see what was in store. And Jesus says, but these signs are going to tell you about the end. But you are not to be afraid. Instead, you are to stand erect and hold your head high, because you know that you have been doing all that you could in that in-between to be my presence and to bring my presence to the world. The Rabbi Abraham Heschel once looked at our world and said, few are guilty, but all are responsible. And I like that statement. Few are guilty, but all are responsible. And so during this Advent season, we're invited to look at those areas that are in need of God's presence. And there are so many. We look at homelessness, at hunger, at poverty. We look at violence, at incivility. Anything out there that we know is not of the teaching or the mindset of Jesus Christ. And even though we didn't do it, even though we're maybe not adding to it, we still have that responsibility to be part of the solution, to be part of bringing that presence of the compassion and the mercy and the care of Jesus Christ. And so, friends, not only today as we listen to these readings, but throughout this Advent season, as we continue to prepare our hearts and our homes and our families for the coming of Christ at Easter, at Christmas, let us especially be aware of those signs of God's presence around us, and of those areas where we need to still bring that presence to others.